Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Goblin Viewz. I am your titular Goblin, and today I am accompanied with the lovely Akasha. And today we are reviewing more Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man comics. Specifically, number 31s to 40. Hold on, I'm just gonna make sure that our audio is all good. Make sure. Can you speak?
Yeah.
Well, like
Everything's going well. How's everybody?
All right, we can be heard. Awesome. Today, for today's stream, we are going to be attempting to make Craven the Hunter. That's going to be our build for today. So if you all remember,
our Elden Ring build.
Yeah, if you all remember last week or last time we did it, we had the Green Goblin, which is right here.
Mm-hmm.
So let's hope that we can do a great Craven.
Yep.
Um.
He has so many colors on him.
Yeah, just a. Not really. It's just he wears a leopard suit basically.
You have to make sure to do the lion vest.
Oh God. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let's just get into it then. What did you think of this week's slew of Amazing Spider-Man 31 to 40?
Freaking awesome.
Fucking really good.
Yeah.
Make sure you speak up a little bit because you said that a little quiet.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Dude. Yeah, but I think they're the best we have read so far. Wait, would you concur with that?
I agree.
Well, I'm kind of trying to coax you to get some thoughts out of you.
Yeah, maybe. No. Yeah, well, it's just like, I'm trying to get the monster. Fuck. Okay. Well, here is where some shit starts to pick up. Like last time we had romance shit happening.
Yeah, that was our biggest complaint last time, is every single issue focused on romance stuff, like with Betty specifically, and we were saying that the Betty romance has just become fucking bullshit at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And this slew, she's still involved, but not as heavily.
Yeah.
And they actually, when she's gone, they actually do some really cool fucking shit. So.
Yeah. There's a new dimension too, where Peter is in college.
Oh yeah, he's going to college now. Yep.
Yep. Summer is over, bitches. It's college time now. Yeah, and it's just some exciting shit happens. Some of the most, one of the most iconic like plot lines that people know about Spider-Man and stuff.
Yeah.
Things that like we were fucking talking about in Ultimate Spider-Man, but way cooler than Ultimate Spider-Man.
Well, yeah, that's some of the things we've been discussing lately. Is that it seems like a lot. Well, obviously, Ultimate Spider-Man takes a lot from the comics that we didn't even realize at the time because we were never reading them. But clearly, this format is just better than that show. But that's not saying much because that show is just bad.
Mm-hmm.
In a lot of regards. Do you have anything else in general to say?
No, I was really, it's weird because it's like, it's something I've seen before, but I was really happy with the last two comics in this slew, and it like, even though I knew kind of what was gonna happen.
Well, you knew exactly what was gonna happen.
Well,
like,
yeah.
you know the reveals and which characters are which and stuff, so it's not a big surprise to us, at least right now, because it's like general Spider-Man knowledge.
But I was still riveted and thrilled and happy to fucking read this bullshit.
Yeah, I completely agree. I always say I'm always happy to just do these reviews because they're probably my favorite. I just love reading these comics and talking about them.
And my fucking favorite side character of all time appeared, Joe.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we'll talk about Joe.
We'll get to that. So do we want to get started?
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to be starting with The Amazing Spider-Man number 31, If This Be My Destiny. So the comic starts out with a bunch of men trying to steal some radioactive materials from a helicopter.
Bullshits, yeah.
Yeah, just some new villains. They're all disguised in purple, like scuba gear.
Yeah.
and they're stealing radioactive materials, and Spider-Man shows up to try to stop them, but they escape with these radioactive materials, and Spider-Man's like, oh shit, okay. So, that happens, and then he's like, well, it's my first day of school.
So I better get going.
Yeah, I better get going. He goes back home. He sees Aunt May. If you remember from the last issue, she was having her dizzy spells, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, she started having her dizzy spells. And she isn't telling Peter about it, but Peter goes to
his first day of college.
Yeah, his first day of college, and go ahead and talk about that then.
And everyone fucking hates him. No, actually what happens is they do that stupid thing where it's like, oh, a couple people like want to make friends with Peter and stuff and see what's going on, but of course Peter is like preoccupied with the Doc Ock thing that's happening.
Well, no, that's not what he's preoccupied with. He doesn't even know it's Doc Ock until you just spoiled the
I'm
fucking
sorry.
reveal.
He's preoccupied with the robbery.
No, he's not even preoccupied with that.
What is he preoccupied
with? The fact that Aunt May is sick. That's why because he just wants to go and see Aunt May. That's all he wants to do. So he doesn't talk to anyone while he's at school.
No, this is before she gets sick.
No, the doctor talks to him, doesn't he?
Hold on.
She's in the hospital. Look at her.
Oh yeah, she is in the hospital. Never mind.
Yeah, well, because we didn't mention she faints.
Yeah.
Yeah, she faints before he goes to school. Yeah, okay.
And the doctors bring her back to life.
So Peter goes to school and he doesn't talk to anyone. What the fuck is he doing?
I don't know.
Okay, I'll be right back.
Okay.
God damn it.
I'll keep going.
Yeah, talk about how he blows everyone off.
So, yeah, Peter blows everyone off, and we are introduced in this sequence to some iconic Spider-Man characters. We have Gwen Stacy, who, like, minute to minute, she is like, man, I really like Peter, and the next minute she's like, who's this suck-up little fucker? And then we have Harry, who... Harry's personality is weird because he's like a nerd kind of like Peter, but Flash likes him. Like he hangs out with Flash. I guess it's just because Harry doesn't like Peter from the start.
Mm.
But...
Oh! We fucked up completely. Okay, so he doesn't go to his first day yet. I have this written down in my notes. That's why I should just be looking at these fucking notes. Okay, he goes to visit the campus for the first day with all of his classmates. Because the next day is his first day of school.
Yeah, it's his first day with registration.
Yes, and then he returns home, and that's when Aunt May faints.
Yeah.
And then the first day of school he goes to. Okay, I just wanted to preface that because we confused it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, guys. But yeah, and...
did you mention Gwen and the other?
I did, and Harry.
And Harry Osborn.
And that Flash is there, and they all hang out together. They have a little clique, and they all hate Peter.
Yeah, they all hate Peter specifically because they all think he's stuck up. And Flash is just the instigator that, like, says this beforehand, so it plants the seed into their mind. So once Peter starts blowing them off, they're like, oh, Flash was right, he is a dick.
Yeah, they're like, whoa, Flash has really got some insight, bro.
Yeah, Oh, yeah, Harry then proceeds to prank Peter because he quote, hates squares.
Yeah, even though he himself is a square.
Yeah, he's a massive square and, like, a nerd.
He's a fucking Melvin.
Yeah, I can't remember what he does exactly to prank him, but it's something like, oh, he fucking, like, blows up his science experiment in the science lab and gets him in trouble with the teacher.
Yeah, the teacher's like, Peter, you did that on purpose, you motherfucker.
Yeah, So, Peter then, gets out of class and he goes to visit Aunt May. And the doctor warns Peter that that Aunt May is getting worse.
And not to worry her.
Yeah, no, that's later.
I know, but he says that I saw it in the panel.
Oh, did it?
From the start, he says, don't worry her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But basically, Peter's like, okay, I'm fucking exhausted. He goes out as Spider-Man and finds nothing. and
because he's going back to investigate the scuba guys.
Yeah, but he finds absolutely nothing, and then he decides to go to the Daily Bugle. And who else is at the Daily Bugle but Ned Leeds? He has returned.
Mm-hmm.
And Peter instantly goes, wait, I thought, or wait, hold on.
That's not it yet.
Yeah. What does Ned visit Betty for? I can't remember what he visits her for.
To ask if like to re-ask, do you want to marry me?
Oh yeah, he's like not coercing her, but he's like, do you have an answer yet? Because he's just like, I asked you to marry me like a week ago, and you basically said nothing to me for this whole week.
Yeah, and she kind of goes, yeah, I'm still thinking about it.
I still want to talk to Peter.
Yeah.
If I was fucking Ned, which he does get pissed at this kind of, but
a little bit.
It's like, I would be like, not pissed because it's her choice, obviously, but it's like the fact that she's just like doesn't talk to him for like a full week about this shit, and it's just weird. Sorry that we're a little scatterbrained. We've obviously been a little bit. I've been sick, and it's been throwing apart our schedule a little bit.
I'm tired today, so that's why I accidentally gave away the fucking ending of this comic.
Well, it's not this comic. It's literally 3 comics from now.
Yeah, you're right.
So... hold on. Okay. Yeah, okay, so basically this whole comic is just Peter trying to find those same bad guys that he fought in the beginning, which he does find them because if you guys remember, okay, so there's a character we have to mention that we haven't been super talking about.
We briefly.
Yeah, Foswell. If you don't remember Foswell, he was the big man in number 10? Right? That was the Defenders one, I think?
Yeah.
Whichever issue had the Defenders, I believe it was number 10. He was the big man, if you remember him. He ran that crew and basically all of the criminal, like the gangsters.
The gangster underworld.
Yeah, like they do in several different versions. But he is important because if you remember, he is now working for the Daily Bugle, and it goes under the guise of Patch, which is a criminal who, like...
With an eye patch.
Yeah, with an eye patch, who gets information from... For the Daily Bugle to, like, write editorials before they're even really known about and stuff.
Yeah, about, like, crime.
Yeah, so Patch figures out about the robbery, and Spider-Man finds him and he warns him of the robbery because he learns it through like secondhand information, and he's like, shit, I can't bring this to the cops because the cops are going to question how I got this information.
Yeah.
So he signals down Spider-Man, and he's like, Spider-Man, there's a robbery going down and there's no one else I can tell, so just go there, and if it's nothing, then it's nothing, but if it's something, then you gotta be there. Spider-Man goes, and it's the same
Kicks everyone's ass.
Yeah, well, it's the same people from the beginning, the same group, and he starts kicking their ass or whatever, but the second the cops show up, they all escape through the underwater again, because in the first part when they were in the helicopter, they scuba dived into the water and escaped, and they do it again once the cops show up. But we end this issue with the whole time Peter's like, oh, I need to get money because I need to be able to pay Aunt May's bills, but he forgets to take pictures of this incident. So he has no pictures, he has no bad guys, he has no friends.
No money, no bitches, no friends, no drip, no gas. No monster. Ultra Rosa.
I'm just letting you go through it.
Nothing.
Yeah,
What the fuck did Blackout say?
I got told to drink lead today. I don't know what to say to that. I hope you didn't.
Yeah, I hope you didn't do it. I think that's all we can really say.
Yeah. So that's number 31. What's your thoughts on that one? I think it's good, but I don't think it's great.
It's okay. You can definitely tell it's a setup one because.
Well, yeah, this is a 3-parter.
Yeah, this is a 3-parter. They're setting up this bullshit with the scuba gear men.
Well,
and
we didn't
their
mention.
leader,
Yeah,
the master planner,
another master,
who you don't see his face, but he's the guy who's like leading the scuba divers or whatever to get all these radioactive materials.
Yeah.
And so the mystery is like, oh, who's the master planner? And they kind of start hinting like, oh, it's someone you know.
Well,
so, yeah.
They say it in this one.
Yeah,
okay.
I know. And I already said it, so who gives a shit? But
yeah. All right. So do we want to go right on to number 32?
Yeah, I just want to say that one is
just
okay. It's set up.
It's a setup one,
Mm-hmm.
so it's not the greatest,
Mm-hmm.
but it's still serviceable. All right. So we got the Amazing Spider-Man number 32, Man on a Rampage.
Mm-hmm.
Right instantly, we are revealed that the Master Planner is actually Doc Ock.
Yeah, and he looks way better.
Yeah, no, he gets a complete like makeover. He has like not a comb over, slicked back hair.
Mm-hmm.
He has like new goggles. He doesn't. I can't remember. He had the. Did he have a different suit before? I can't.
Yeah, because it went around his body like that. Remember?
Yes. But yeah, he's the Master Planner. No shit. He's the only one that would fuck around with radioactive materials.
Mm-hmm.
My thing that I found weird though about him working with radioactive materials is that he has all these guys that work for him that are just regular dudes and they're fine with just carrying around radioactive shit for him.
Maybe that's what the suits are for.
Well, no, but they're scuba suits though.
They're not specifically scuba suits. They use them in other situations.
I guess, but I don't know, maybe. It's just a very risky plan, especially in the fucking 60s. I don't know.
But we should say Aunt May's still in the hospital.
Yeah, Aunt May is still in the hospital.
And guess what? In this one, guys, Peter goes fucking nuts.
Yeah, well, it is called Man on a Rampage for a reason.
Yeah,
So we start.
Peter's the man on the rampage.
Yeah, so we start with Peter. He goes to sell pics to the Daily Bugle. I don't know where he got. I can't remember where he got them from, but Betty and Ned are there, and Peter basically like pushes Ned.
Yeah, he's
like,
just a dick.
Yeah, he's an absolute dick. He like says some shit like "I don't care about you" to Betty, and then pushes Ned really hard into like a closet. And the reason he's doing this is so that Betty will leave him alone. He's basically over this relationship with her.
Which, this is bullshit. Because this happens, like, one other time after this, where Peter tries to act like a dick to be like, oh, like, I just want Betty out of my life or whatever. But every single time, Betty is like, I know you're just acting up, Peter, like, this isn't real, I know you wouldn't actually do this. But it's like, bitch, every other single time that,
he does it.
That Peter, like, accidentally did something, you every time would go like, oh, he must be cheating on me.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
he must not love. How are you so perceptive now? What's going on?
Yeah. Very, very odd.
That's not the most important part anyway. We're getting done with Betty.
Well,
guys.
so one thing we should preface though is that they start to introduce the idea that Betty wants the truth. She wants the truth from Peter because she knows he's hiding something, and that's why they can't be together.
And yeah,
which we all know is the secret of Spider-Man.
And she says she needs to figure out the secret before she knows whether she's gonna marry Ned or not.
Yes. So we cut back to the hospital. Peter goes back there, and we learn how Aunt May is sick. So, bear with me. In number 10, if y'all remember, I will remind you. In The Amazing Spider-Man number 10, yet again with the big man, there was another part where Aunt May got sick. And Peter and her, I don't know if we mentioned it, we might have, I think we did, have to do a blood. She's dying.
Yeah.
And it's revealed in this one that ever since that, she has had radiation poisoning that has been slowly killing her because of Peter's blood.
Yeah. Doesn't give her cool-ass spider powers, it just gives her cancer. It's not cancer.
Yeah, it's not cancer.
They say it's radiation in the blood, which
is just radiation poisoning.
Yeah, that to me just sounds like radiation poisoning or another way to say cancer. So
yeah.
So
he goes home and has a fucking meltdown because he's like, "Why the fuck did I do this?" Like he curses a huge reoccurring thing in this is that Peter is going to curse the fact that he's gotten powers multiple times.
Yeah.
And this is one of them. He goes home and he like smashes a table. Do you want to work on Craven a bit?
Sure.
Yeah.
I want to fix some of these spots, but go ahead.
Go right ahead. And he instantly is like, "Hey, I know someone who's good at like blood shit. Doc Connors.
Yeah.
If you'll remember Doc Connors, the man who turned himself into the lizard. They do this stupid thing where he calls his residence. If you remember, Doc Connors lived in Florida. He no longer lives in Florida. He's obviously now based in New York for the convenience of
this comic.
Well, not even the comic.
Well,
so that he
Doc Connors going forward.
Yeah, so he can be in the comics more commonly.
Yeah.
But he shows up and with a vial of his own blood and a vial of Aunt May's blood that he steals from the hospital, and he's like, "Doc, we got to save this person," and Doc Connors doesn't really question it too much because he's like, "Spider-Man saved my life, so I'll just do whatever he needs me to do."
Yeah. He's so friendly. He's so sweet.
Well, he did save his life.
Yeah.
And he rescued his fucking marriage and his son's life. You know what I mean?
No, he's just a very sweet guy.
Hold on. Okay. So we learn that in order to complete this formula that Doc Connor needs to make in order to cure Aunt May, he needs some kind of isotope. Could you explain what an isotope is, kind of?
Well, for this, you don't even really need to know. It's just like, for them, it's some gobbledygook.
Yeah, it's
bullshit.
like a MacGuffin, basically.
Yeah.
Like the serum that they need that's made out of radiation, that's going to be the...
No, it's not made out of radiation. It annuls radiation.
Oh, okay.
It makes radiation go away.
Okay.
That's basically all you need to know. It's like a fucking vial with like some bullshit in it that makes radiation go away.
That's strange. If it does that, why does Doc Ock want it if he wants radioactive materials?
Because he says some bullshit like, "I'll be able to control radiation" or something.
Okay. Cool.
It's like just, stupid villain bullshit. It's whatever.
So yeah, basically, as I just said, Doc Ock steals the isotope as it's being flown in on the helicopter. Spider-Man learns of this, and he instantly realizes it's the master planner. He still doesn't know it's Doc Ock. So he goes out and he meets the one person that he thinks can help him find where he needs to go, Foswell. Yeah. He's like, "Foswell, I need you to disguise yourself as Patch, and go out and find." No, he doesn't even know that about Patch. I don't think. I think he just knows that Foswell can get information.
Yeah.
So he's like, "I need you to help me."
Yeah.
So Foswell goes out and does that, and then Peter goes out and beats up every single criminal, and I mean every single criminal he finds, and questions them where this motherfucker is. He gets so violent that, like, some guys get in the car and he fucking tosses the car into a wall.
Yeah.
He rips out a staircase while people are, like, running up it. It's fucking, like, awesome.
Where is he?
Yeah, But, so, I have a little bit of a problem with this. So he basically searches so hard that he just kind of waltzes upon the secret base of, the master planner.
Yeah, Doc Ock.
Yeah, it's really weird, because he's just, like, he's, like, swinging around, and then all of a sudden this spider sense goes off, and he's like, "Oh, there's a secret hatch in this floor here." But yeah, he finds Doc Ock, and they fight, but the fight basically destroys we should preface. So he goes down it's like down in the ground, like I said, And the master planners, the reason that everybody was escaping through the water is because the master planner's base is underwater. Yet another thing that the Ultimate Spider-Man had.
It's at the bottom of the Hudson.
Yeah.
Which I do like.
Yes.
Like, who the fuck would want to go in the Hudson and look for that bullshit?
Yeah, no, exactly. So, you know, Spider-Man gets down there to his lab and he finds him and they start fighting. But the fight is so brutal that it, like, destroys the room.
Yeah, and Doc Ock is like, what the fuck? He's never fought like this before. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it destroys the room. And the room gets so destroyed that it starts crumbling in on itself.
Mm-hmm.
And a bunch of rubble falls on top of Spider-Man and locks him in place.
Yeah. And we assume that Doc Ock gets fucking crushed.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't show back up.
We know he doesn't, obviously. They're not going to just unceremoniously show you off panel him getting crushed to death or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But from Peter's perspective, he doesn't know where the fuck Doc Ock went,
mm-hmm.
so he thinks he got crushed. So basically we end this issue with Spider-Man being trapped underneath this rubble. The isotope, the serum that he needs, is like 30 feet in front of him. He can see it. And the river is pouring in through the ceiling.
Mm-hmm.
So I like noticing ticking clock elements in things. So I wrote ticking clock. The river is pouring in, so that's one.
Yeah.
May
fucking dying.
May is like on the brink of death.
Mm-hmm.
So the longer she waits, the more serious it gets. And then the isotope is also decaying.
Yeah.
Because it was in a special container in the helicopter that it was supposed to stay in, and it's not anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So it's dying.
So there's a lot of fucking shit going on.
Yeah. And that's the end of Spider-Man number 32, man, on Rampage. What are your thoughts, Akasha?
It's fucking good.
Yeah, it's
riveting.
It's one of the greatest ones we've read so far.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really have anything else to say, but it's just so good.
Yeah, and it's like, you're like, oh, so much shit is happening. Like, damn, Betty's fucking leaving, finally. Aunt May...
Wait, is she leaving in this one?
Well, she doesn't leave quite yet, but I mean, like, you're like, oh, she's on her way out the door, you know what I mean? But yeah, and it's just like, I don't know, it's weird, because, like, I saw the thing where they got a blood transfusion, and at the time, I was like, oh, that's gonna be something important later, but it happened so far later that I fucking forgot about the blood transfusion. And I was like, what the fuck is wrong with Aunt May? And then I was like, motherfucker, it was that goddamn blood transfusion from like 25 issues ago.
Mm-hmm.
Or 20, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I really like it. I like that they fucking remembered that, because I did not.
Alright, so we want to move on to 33?
Yeah.
Alright, so The Amazing Spider-Man 33, the final chapter.
Ooh,
Guys, this is the
bro.
last issue ever of Spider-Man. It's the final chapter, so...
This is early clickbaiting.
It is early clickbaiting, you're absolutely correct.
These fuckers, they're like, this is the last chance you get to read Spider-Man.
Yeah. The final chapter, my ass.
Shut up,
There's
Stan.
fucking 600 issues of this
400.
shit. 400 issues. Either way, it's in the fucking high hundreds here.
Yeah. Imagine at the time, though, you would have been like, what is Spider-Man going? He was my favorite.
Yeah, so number 33, the final chapter.
Mm-hmm.
We basically start, obviously, with where we left off in the last one, with him being... That looks really good.
Thank you.
That actually looks really good.
I'm trying to make the lion vest.
No, I know. I know you are. It's just like a whole, like, 5 pages, maybe even more, of Spider-Man just struggling underneath this rubble, and him, like, being like, my aunt is gonna die, and it's gonna be my fault.
Mm-hmm.
And then he thinks about Uncle Ben and how that's his fault. It's just fucked up. He's just, like, beating himself up so hard.
It's fucked up, and he's, like, dying.
But basically, straining with every single fucking ounce of stamina and energy and hope and strength that Spider-Man has, he is able to lift all of the... It's literally like a whole fucking... Like... I don't even... how do you describe all the rubble? It's so much.
Yeah, it's like there's
It's like a turbine. It's like a huge, like, underwater turbine.
Like, fucking bullshit on him.
Yeah, it's just huge. And he somehow, you know, picks this up and gets himself out. But he gets out and the fucking river just instantly, he grabs the isotope and the river instantly just fucking rushes in.
Mm-hmm.
So he does something really smart. He's like, okay, I'll just let the river take me. And he does. He just rides the river like the whole way out of the hideout.
Which is fun.
It is fun.
Except he's really fucked up. Like, his leg is all fucked up and...
Yeah, so basically, though, he gets to the end of this, and there's just a million fucking goons.
Yeah.
Of these purple face goons ready to just beat the shit. Like, they're waiting there for him.
Yeah, and they were like, oh, we're gonna fucking wait here all day for Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Those fuckers.
But basically, he starts fighting and losing because he's exhausted because he just did the greatest feat he's ever done.
Yeah.
And he does something really interesting. He stops fighting and lets himself get beat up so that he can recharge.
Because he's like, I'm fucking tired. I don't know.
But it works, though. Like, he recharges his energy so that he can beat them up. It's so interesting. But basically, he fights these people so fucking hard that by the time the fight's over, he's, like, talking to himself like he's talking to another goon and he doesn't realize the fight's over.
Yeah.
Like, that's how exhausted he is.
And then he's like, wait a minute, I just beat the shit out of all of them?
Yeah, but he rushes to Doc Connors with the isotope and obviously the cure.
Yeah, he secretly behind Doc Connors' back tests it on his own blood to make sure that it, like, gets rid of the radiation.
Which I also think is going to be a thing later because it proves that it would get rid of Spider-Man's spider powers that, like, if he were to use that isotope.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Let me see. So, oh yeah, Peter goes back and he takes pictures of all of the goons getting arrested because he needs the money.
Yeah.
Obviously, he wasn't going to do that before he gave Doc Connors the isotope and shit. He took the serum to the doctors to give to May. And they trust Dr. Connors because he phones ahead and is like, we have this developed for this woman.
Pink nose or no pink nose?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah, but basically, Peter goes to sell these pictures of him arresting these goons to the Daily Bugle, and Betty tries to talk to him again, but finds him with just a fucked up face because he because he got so beat up. And she's like, "Holy shit, Peter! Like, I didn't think that you were like a
ruffian."
Yeah, and he gives a really, really good speech to her, like basically telling her that he's Spider-Man without telling her because he's like, I will always, because he goes under the guise that he got beat up while taking the pictures. So and then he gives a speech where he's like, I will always seek danger no matter what anyone else wants.
Yeah,
and that deters her away from wanting to talk to him. Oh yeah, and then he goes in and stands up to JJJ for the first time, where he gives him the pictures and he demands money up front.
Yeah, he's like, give me my fucking money.
Yeah, I wrote demand staff job, double the money.
Staff job, double the money.
Yeah. But this comic ends with something I want to look at it because it's So he goes back to the hospital to see Aunt May, and he leaves or whatever, and the doctor is like, God, Peter Parker is such a... Here, I'll just read it verbatim. So Peter's walking away, and the doctor says, that Peter Parker certainly is a nice boy. He's sincere, well-mannered, and devoted to his aunt. Too bad there aren't many more young men like that. Too bad someone like him can't be an idol for teenagers to imitate instead of some mysterious unknown thrill seeker like Spider-Man. And I just think that speech completely encapsulates how everybody feels about Spider-Man right now. And I just thought it was really good. This comic has two really, really good speeches.
Yeah.
Both the Peter one to Betty and the Doctor one, but this is one of the greatest comics we have read so far.
It is so good.
It is... I can't even...
It just has so many themes of, like...
No, it's pure Spider-Man.
It is pure Spider-Man.
Yeah.
It's pure heroin, by Lord.
Yeah, it's just the best... It's one of the best Spider-Man issues you could possibly ask for.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's like... it's crazy, because, like, Doc Ock was not even, like...
A villain, really?
Well, he was a villain, but it's like he was the least important part of this whole thing.
Yeah, no, he the only part he's really important for is to steal the isotope.
Yeah.
And when they fight, that's not even really important except for Spider-Man getting trapped.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's fine because we've seen him enough that he doesn't need to be the main... Like,
yeah.
Because he's clearly going to be later on again anyway.
Yeah, he's not fucking dead. You're a bitch if you think he's dead.
Alright. So, do we want to move on to 34 then?
Yeah.
Alright. The Amazing Spider-Man 34, The Thrill of the Hunt.
Speaking of fucking Craven.
Yeah, Return of Craven the Hunter.
Hey, that cheeky little son of a bitch.
So, this issue starts with Craven, and they preface it with something really weird. So, they retcon the fact that Craven wants to take Spider-Man's head and make it so that he only wants to take his mask off?
Yeah. I don't know.
No, he wants to kill him. I don't fucking care.
They just wanted it to look more, like, friendly or whatever. Like, oh, he's not gonna kill him.
Yeah. So... And then Craven's base is back. He got deported, if you remember. Mm-hmm. He got deported in the last issue he was in. And he's in his hometown, and he's like talking, and then he reveals that he's not even that strong because he uses a magic potion for his strength. It
is such bullshit. Every iteration I've seen Craven in, he's a fucking massive cheater.
Yeah, he basically, it's like a panel where he like I wrote Craven juices up and fucks up a lion. He just drinks this potion and finds a random lion to just go beat up for no reason.
Yeah, and then he beats up the lion and then he goes, I have mercy this time. I will let you go. Okay, bro.
Yeah, but we then cut to Betty.
I like that little pose I did for him.
What is he doing with his other arm?
Hold on. He's pointing.
To where?
At you.
Okay.
See, he's pointing at you.
Okay, fair enough.
I'm trying to make, like, muscles, but it just looks like bulky arm fat.
No, it looks good.
Oh, you like it?
Yeah, what you had looked good.
Okay.
We then cut to Betty, who has a dream that Peter is Spider-Man.
Yeah.
A little on the nose there, huh, Betty?
And it's made to look like,
it's a nightmare?
Well, no, it's made to look like it's real, like she figured it out.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, it's like it's supposed to be like he's telling her.
Yeah.
But she wakes up and she's like, oh, God, I hope that isn't real. Like, thank God that's not real.
Spider-Man.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, so Peter goes to school, and he figures out why everybody's pissed at him, because the whole time everybody was pissed at him during these issues, he didn't know why, because he was so obsessed with Aunt May. But he figures it out in this issue. Craven, during this point, returns to America,
Mm-hmm.
and his plan is that he dresses up as Spider-Man and goes out to harass J. Jonah Jameson like every single day.
Yeah.
Until Spider-Man shows up to stop him.
Mm-hmm.
Which is it's really funny.
It is.
Because he doesn't do anything bad. He's just like talking shit. He's like,
Also,
I'm gonna beat you up, Jay.
No, he doesn't even do that. He's just like, I need to talk to you, J. Jonah Jameson. And J. Jonah Jameson is like, don't come near me.
Yeah,
But it's funny because you're led to believe as the reader initially that it's actually Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Because they don't reveal that it's Craven. They don't reveal it's Craven until you see Peter sitting on his ass in his living room watching the TV.
Yeah, well, I was very confused. I was like, what the fuck does Spider-Man need to talk to J. Jonah Jameson for? Yeah.
He's watching the TV and then he goes, what the fuck? It says Spider-Man has been visiting JJJ? I have not been doing that.
Yeah, so, obviously, Spider-Man goes out to investigate. Why is his neck so big? Is that his neck?
Yeah. No, this is his neck. This is his head. Neck?
It looks like his neck is part of his chest. Like, his neck and his chest are the same, though.
Well, it's because he has that strip where it's just like, you know, like, he has his chest here.
Mm-hmm.
It goes straight up to his neck. It's like how you're wearing a shirt.
No, I get it. I'm just saying with the Minecraft blocks.
Yeah, whatever.
Okay.
It looks awesome. It's fine.
No, it looks good, so you're doing a good job.
Thank you.
So basically, Spider-Man shows up to beat him up, and he reveals himself as Craven. And he's like, you know what, Spider-Man? I'll make you a deal. I will tell...
I'll make you a Goblin deal.
I will tell everybody that I have been disguising myself as you.
Uh-huh.
If you can beat me.
Yeah.
And during this point also, there's like a group of civilians that like...
Or like bank robbers, I guess, or something.
They're like... Yeah, there's something. But they see like that Spider-Man's harassing, and they just go to beat him up.
Yeah.
I can't remember exactly why. It's not really important. Spider-Man instantly beats the shit out of them the second they show up.
Mm-hmm.
So... And then, you know, Spider-Man agrees to Craven's deal, but... Craven kind of cheats and takes away Spider-Man's spider sense.
He's such a bullshitter.
He throws like a magic potion on him that makes his spider sense go away.
Craven is such a piece of shit.
I'm gonna just... Yeah, okay. I'm just making sure the audio is still good.
Yeah.
They fight for a while. I think the fight is one of the best fights. We don't really describe fights, but there's a really cool part where Spider-Man... He's like, hold on. Yeah, so Spider-Man is like hanging out the window. He's like, They both lose each other because, oh yes, okay, so the guys show up and start beating up Spider-Man, but Craven starts beating them up because he's like, you're not fucking taking this from me.
Yeah, you're not taking this victory from me, you motherfuckers.
Even though he's already cheated.
Yeah. Even though he's a big fat cheater.
But,
cheater, pumpkin
so
eater.
they lose each other, and Spider-Man, like, leans out the window to, like, look to see if maybe Craven ran away or something.
There he is.
And that's it?
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love it. And Craven is... He leans out the window above at the same moment, and he fucking leaps out and catches Spider-Man and rides him on his back all the way down like 3 fucking flights before they go diving in through another window. It's fucking crazy.
Craven is a crazy motherfucker.
Yeah, but basically they just trade blows until Craven's defeated. And Craven does keep his word, and the police show up and he owns up to what he did.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Alright, there he is, ladies and gents. Here's your beautiful image for this this review.
Yep.
Now we'll just look at him.
Yep. Alright. But so this issue ends with Peter deciding not to take pictures for the Daily Bugle, very selfishly, because he needs the money.
Yeah.
But because he doesn't want to see Betty. So he doesn't take the pictures. He goes home. But unbeknownst to him, Betty Brant's already left New York.
Yup.
And that's how we end our issue.
Yup.
With, I believe, J. Jonah having a new assistant.
Yeah.
That's how they reveal it.
Yeah, like some black-haired chick.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do want to say, though, like, we say Craven is always, like, a bull... Is that why he's called Craven? Because he's literally Craven.
What do you mean?
Like, Craven means, like, a coward.
Maybe.
He's a bullshitting coward who cheats. But I like that they give him a little bit of extra character here, and they go... Oh no, like, he will keep his word.
Oh no, I think this issue was really good, even though they do some weird retconning with Craven, and there's just some weird shit in it. But I like the fight scene, like that part I was talking about where he like jumps on Spider-Man. It's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
I think I should mention the interconnectedness, though, of the problem you had with Craven.
Oh, yes, because...
Do you want me to explain it?
Yeah, go right ahead.
Okay. So...
Well, explain my problem first.
So Brandt's initial problem was that in the annual, Craven is back.
Yeah, with the Sinister Six, if you remember in annual number 1, he returns to America because he's in... Okay. He's in his first issue, and then the annual number 1 where the Sinister Six happens. He is part of that. But when he returns in this one... He only explains that he came the first time.
Like, he came back to America.
Yeah, like, he only came the first issue. Meaning that the annual didn't happen in his mind?
Yeah. But so what happens... So the explanation they give for this is that around the time of Spider-Man Annual number 1, I was reading an Iron Man comic... And what happens in the beginning of the comic is the Chameleon and Craven return to the United States. They get smuggled in so that they can plot against Spider-Man again. And Craven immediately gets detained and caught by Iron Man. And so the suggestion is that, like, he's in prison for America a little bit or whatever, and then he goes and fights Spider-Man, and then... After the annual, he gets fucking deported again. But Brandt's problem is that they act like Craven didn't come back.
Yeah, it's...
For the annual.
My problem was, it's just like, it's fine that these are all interconnected, but I would rather a Spider-Man villain's story be in a Spider-Man story.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like they can't intermix, but if you're gonna have Craven in a different issue of Iron Man, have it just be... Craven's there. It doesn't have anything to do with Spider-Man. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I really didn't mind it, but...
Well, like I said to you before, though, you're fine with it because you read the Spider-Man, or the Iron Man issue. I am only reading these Spider-Man comics, so I don't fucking know.
Yeah. I actually really like this comic, though, because it's starting to change my mind about Craven.
Yeah.
It's starting to change my mind in that, initially, I really hated Craven. And he is still lame, but he's kind of awesome because he's lame. Like, that's his personality.
Yeah.
So, I really liked that, and it's just like, I don't know, they're keeping with all the dramatic plot points and him in college, and everyone fucking hates him. Mm-hmm. Oh my god. No, I really like this one. It was great.
It was really, really good.
Yeah.
I don't think it's as good as the last two, though.
No.
Yeah. So I guess we'll move on to The Amazing Spider-Man number 35, The Molten Man Regrets. We were talking about this issue last time, saying that we were curious why it's called this.
He fucking regrets being in this issue.
Yeah, he doesn't even regret anything. I'm just gonna come out and say it, this issue's lame. Which fucking sucks because the Molten Man one last time was pretty good.
Yeah, but it's basically just like the same thing as the first Molten Man comic. Except for he has a slightly new plot.
Yeah, so he just he gets out of jail.
There it is.
And he disguises himself as another person to go rob a bank. Spider-Man shows up. We're quickly gonna go through this one because there's not a whole lot to say, honestly. But Spider-Man shows up and gets punched in the face by him.
Well, and I'd like to mention here his great grand plot was that if he just wears disguises all the time, he'll never be caught for the crimes.
Yes, but he wears the disguise, he punches Spider-Man and runs away and escapes.
Mm-hmm.
But Spider-Man instantly, he's like, huh, that punch felt like a metal.
Yeah.
And then he's like, there's only one person I know that is made of metal. Unless it was Doc Ock, but even then Doc Ock wouldn't do something like disguise himself.
Yeah, and his arms are the metal ones.
Yeah, exactly.
So basically Spider-Man goes back and beats him.
Yeah, but it's just, that's it. They fight.
Yeah, and he defeats him in the same way where he fucking ties up his
he meets him at his house and he beats him up.
Yeah. It is cool. Is this the one where it... No, never mind.
No, literally, that's all that happens in this issue.
No, the only cool thing is that he smokes a cigarette and he can't get lung cancer because he's metal, but whatever.
Yeah, alright. Lame. Lame one.
Lame.
Alright. On to Amazing Spider-Man number 36. When Falls the Meteor. Guess
this one should be called The Looter Regrets.
So, if you couldn't guess, this issue starts with a meteor falling out of the sky.
And you think it's going to be fucking cool because you hear Spider-Man, you hear meteor falling out of the sky.
Okay, pop quiz, everybody. Spider-Man and meteors, what does that make you think of? The Looter, of course!
Yeah, the fucking Looter, your favorite goddamn
You fucking
villain.
idiots, not Venom!
Although, his suit does kind of look like Proto-Venom.
Proto-Venom?
Yeah.
I guess.
Primitive Venom.
This one's also... I called it... My classification was Rock Fart, because the Rock farts on him. So basically...
You're right!
This guy finds the meteor... And he believes that microorganisms lives on meteorites, so he takes it, and he's like trying to get funding for this experiment of trying to find microorganisms on the... Which he's not wrong if you think about Venom later. He's not wrong.
No, I know, but this is such bullshit because he goes, I'm not really a scientist or anything, so I need scientists to help me with this. And then when scientists don't help him with it, he goes, I'm just gonna fucking chip at it with a rock. I don't give a shit.
Or, yeah, he just fucking beats the shit out of it.
Yeah,
and then it releases a fart onto him.
Yeah, there's fart gas in it.
And all the fart does, it
just makes him super strong.
It's so lazy because there's a lot of instances where... Even with one we like later on, it's just like random people just get like zapped and all of a sudden they're just super strong and that's it.
It's good later though because there's like a twist.
No, I know.
With
but
this, there's no twist.
Yeah, no, but it's just the same thing if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
What?
So we cut then to Peter going to school, and a girl's talking to Gwen, and they're all still pissed at him. But this girl's talking to Gwen, and she's like, "Oh, Peter's probably not that bad. I met him during orientation, and he was really nice to me."
Mm-hmm.
And Gwen's like,
"No, they used to go to school together. They went to the same high school together."
Okay. But either way, Gwen's like, "Okay, then prove it to me." So she goes over and invites Peter to a party.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I had written it down. Could you see what the fuck does Peter say to her? It's so goddamn rude.
So she says, "Peter, remember me? I'm Sally Green. I'm in your English lit class. May I talk to you?"
I have it written down actually. I do have it written down.
He says, "Sure thing, Sally. You bet." And then she says, "I'm having a get together at my place later, just for the kids in the class." And then Peter says, "Say, that sounds like a great idea." But then he realizes that she makes a reference to the fact that she's like, she likes him because he's smart. Yeah, and he goes, "Women only like because of my big brain."
Yeah, well, because he identifies it with Betty.
Yeah.
He's like, "Oh, you don't like rough and tumble men?" So he makes like some like crude comment being like a tough dude, but it's like such a dick thing.
No, he says, tell you what, Sally, if I can make it, I'll let you know. I might be pretty busy tonight.
Even though he already said he would be there.
Yeah, and so it's kind of justified in this instance where Gwen and Sally, this random bitch Sally, are like, what the fuck? Peter is rude.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the looter
the looter
runs
shows up.
out of farts in his rock.
well, let's put into he robs a bunch of banks before he runs out of fart juice. Okay.
Yeah. So he's really successful because he drank up all the fart juice.
Yeah, he keeps drinking up all the fart juice, but he's like, shit, I robbed so many banks that I'm starting to run out. And then he's like, oh fuck, the museum down the street has a meteorite. Maybe that meteorite has more fart juice.
Yeah,
that
he's
I
like,
can
there's
consume.
gotta be fart juice in that.
And it just so happens that Peter goes to the same exhibit. Obviously, the looter arrives to steal it, and
Gwen is there too.
Gwen's there, but I don't think it really matters.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter. Gwen, okay, it does matter for this reason, this bullshit reason, which is that Gwen wants to talk to Peter because she has this thing where
she's back and forth.
Yeah, and where she really does not like that Peter does not want to talk to her because she thinks she's so like popular and pretty. She's like, why wouldn't anyone want to not talk to me? So she's trying to talk to Peter, and then the looter shows up, and then Peter runs away, and Gwen goes, oh, what a fucking pathetic loser. Why is he not trying to stop the looter?
Yeah, like she's gonna fucking do anything to stop
What the fuck did you do, Gwen?
Why wouldn't you run away?
Also, in all those panels of the looter robbing the museum, I didn't see one other motherfucker trying to stop him.
Yeah.
Except for, like, security guards, which is their job.
Yeah.
It's like, what the fuck are you talking about, Gwen? She's like, oh, he really sucks now that I didn't see him pummel the looter.
Yeah.
What?
But yeah, the looter escapes. There's a lot of repetitive escaping, and then Spider-Man waits at the exact same place, and then they return.
Mm-hmm.
He returns, and then Spider-Man beats him up again. But this time he tries escaping with a big ass balloon, but Spider-Man beats him in the middle of the air, which is pretty cool. That's like the coolest part. He like beats him while floating on the balloon.
I like when there's air battles.
Yeah, he beats him, and that's the end of the comic. My only complaint is that he rides the balloon down and doesn't make himself a web parachute.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the police arrest the looter, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Rock fart out of 10.
Yeah, rock fart out of 10, motherfuckers. Think about that one.
Yeah.
That was my favorite Spider-Man comic.
Fuck you! You call it a rock fart, you son of a bitch!
It was meteorite gas.
Alright,
Rock fart, meteorite gas, same thing.
Alright, do we want to move on then?
Yeah, now kiddies, buckle in for your fucking four-parter or whatever the hell, kind of.
37, 38, 39, 40. Yeah, this is a four-parter, yeah. Yeah, we started with a three-parter, and now we're ending with a four-parter.
Mm-hmm.
The Amazing... Well, do you want to read the title?
Once upon a time, there was a robot.
Yes, that is the title of The Amazing Spider-Man number 37. We start out and we meet someone who looks exactly like Professor X. It's so fucking weird. He's just
he does.
He's a bald man that has like just generic features, so he looks like him. Mm-hmm. His name's Professor Strom. Don't worry, we haven't met him before, so you're not missing any lore here.
He's some random motherfucker.
Yeah, so he gets out of jail, and Foswell is watching him as he leaves jail because he was his old cellmate. And he knows that he's going to be up to something because he was muttering stuff while they were both in the cell together. And obviously, Foswell, as we've discussed, is trying to just see any bad things that he can get for the Daily Bugle.
Mm-hmm.
And Foswell is proven fucking right because someone else sees that he's watching and tries to fucking murder him with a gun.
Yeah.
The Spider-Man is also there. I don't know why, but he shows up and saves Foswell.
Mm-hmm.
And Spider-Man makes the criminal drive him to where Dr. Strom is because instantly he's like, okay, this guy's bad. If the second he gets out of jail, he's having people assassinated.
Yeah, but remember also that they get interrupted in the drive because the police officers see that this guy has an illegal plate on his car.
Yeah, and they drive for like a mile and then they have to stop and then Spider-Man swings the rest of the way. Or he can't even...
No, he goes to the Daily Bugle instead. He just says fuck it and goes to the Daily Bugle.
Oh, yeah, so then he hears Foswell, because he's like, okay, Foswell was there. He hears Foswell talking about the professor and he slips a little spider tracker in his hat.
And this is when he sees that there's a new secretary.
Hold on, I wrote down Pete, does he notice that?
Yeah.
I wrote down Pete tries his luck with Gwen and insults her.
Where the fuck is that? Oh, it must be here. Yes.
Go ahead.
So, Peter is trying to be nice to Gwen, and then Gwen goes, "You fucker, you're so stuck up, I don't give a shit." And, then Peter says, "Well, at least I'm not a temperamental..."
That's what it... Yeah.
Yeah. Well, at least I'm not a temperamental female who drools over a fella one day and then acts like an icicle to him the next.
That's a quote. That's a direct quote.
That's me quoting.
Anyway.
And then after that, after Gwen hits back, he goes, "Come on, Gwen, simmer down. Let's bury the hatchet." And it's like, it's weird because this interaction indicates to me that they both understand that they kind of like each other a little bit.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
Peter's just a massive dick.
So Professor Strom then builds a robot. His first robot. There's 2 robots. So this is his first one. The whole reason that he's building this robot is because someone sent him to jail. We don't know who, but someone did.
Mm-hmm.
So he builds this robot that he controls mentally, and he sends it out to this person's lab to destroy it, because he doesn't want to just kill this person. He wants to destroy everything
that they have,
so that they can feel the same way that he did, because I guess I'll give preface to what the backstory is without spoiling who is... the person was their partner and fucked them over out of all of his inventions and sent him to jail because he threatened to, like, sue.
Mm-hmm. Because he wasn't getting any credit.
Yeah. The robot goes to the lab and starts destroying it, and Spider-Man arrives, noticing this building fucking on fire, and beats the robot only by fucking jumping in the fire himself.
Yeah, because I don't know how, but he figures like, oh, it must be, because it's not susceptible to anything, so he's like, oh, maybe like it fucking dies in fire or some bullshit.
Well, I think it's like a last ditch attempt.
Yeah.
That works, thankfully.
Harry, don't you ever shut up.
We'll get there.
Okay.
We then, after the battle, Professor immediately you gotta go to the bathroom.
I gotta go pee.
Alright, immediately unveils his second robot, now with a laser eye. So it's different. The only thing the other robot could do was just be a robot that was strong, I guess. But this one now has a laser eye. And we learn that the Professor's old partner was none other than Norman fucking Osborn. Who, clearly, we met Harry, now we've met his father. We all know Norman Osborn, and he's just as much of a dick in this as, even more, I'd say. I'd say this is the most dickish I've ever seen Norman Osborn. This is a direct quote that he says to Harry the first time we see them together. "Harry, won't you shut up?" So after we meet Norman, we cut back to Spider-Man, and Spider-Man finds Patch, because he knows that Patch is somehow connected to this whole thing too. Or no, okay. He loses Foswell because he still doesn't know that Foswell and Patch are the same person. He loses Foswell, and he finds Patch, and he's like, oh, I've seen that guy a few times. I'm going to follow him and maybe he'll help me find something. Which, of course, ends up being true because Patch goes immediately to the hideout of Dr. Strom. I don't know how he knows where it is. Maybe he knew, like, he told him when he was his cellmate or something. I'm not sure if they ever preface it. But, Patch gets kidnapped, and Spider-Man obviously has to, save him. But as he's saving him, Dr. Strom releases his second robot to go and kill Norman Osborn. So Spider-Man then has to quickly save Patch, which he does, but he goes after the robot, and the robot's destroying Norman's office because, yet again, he wants to destroy everything he owns instead of just, doing the smart thing and just killing him.
Norman's putting a bad taste in your mouth, huh?
I just have some, But Norman, the second Spider-Man shows up, he's instantly like, why the fuck are you here? Because Norman thinks that he is so clever that he will just be able to overtake the robot and go kill Strom himself.
Well, also he says something like, I can't have Spider-Man interfering in my stuff.
Yeah.
Like, he can't be here. You know what I mean?
So Norman fucking knocks Spider-Man out.
Yeah.
Like from behind the back, he fucking cold cocks him with like a brick or something.
Yeah, and he's like, great, now the fucking robot will kill him, I guess.
Well, no. What happens is he knocks him out, and Norman escapes, and the robot goes back home, doesn't it? Wait.
It tries to beat up Spider-Man.
Spider-Man wakes up and goes back to the... Oh, I guess I didn't write down... Does he destroy the robot before or after he gets knocked out?
He destroys it after he gets knocked out.
Oh, okay.
See, this is where he gets cold cocked.
Yeah.
And then here's the robot.
Oh, yeah, well, he goes back... Why does the robot not kill Norman, then?
Because Norman just bitches the fuck out and runs, I guess.
Oh, I guess... Then why would... That's so fucking weird. Okay. But anyway, Spider-Man destroys the robot. He's back at the hideout of Professor Strom. Hold on. And as Spider-Man's going to, like, arrest him... Not, like, arrest him, but he's gonna, like, tie him up so the cops are coming... will come and get him. He instantly... His spider sense goes off, and he pushes Strom out of the way, and a shot fires. And it's a sniper shot. And it misses Strom, but it gives him a heart attack, and he still dies.
Yeah.
And Peter... Well, Spider-Man... instantly fucking leaps up to the window as quick as he can, and the person's gone. And there's no possible way for it to be... them to be there. Yeah. Well, we know it's Norman. They reveal it's Norman who did it at the very end of the issue. But there's no possible way he could have done it. From the height and the fact there's no ledges and everything. So Spider-Man starts to question his spider sense, being like, what actually just happened? Yeah. Yeah. What are your thoughts on number 37?
I thought Professor Strom and the robots were lame, but I did like that we're getting back on a thread, and immediately I was like, motherfucker, like, of course you already know, but you were like, you know how he fired that shot.
Yeah, of course.
You know how he... And it's just interesting, because you're just like, when is this gonna come to a head?
Yeah. It's just, I thought I agree. I don't think the robot stuff was... And I don't think really... Because the robot fights, literally, that robot fight, the first one, is so fucking short. I feel like they didn't really want to care about the robots with this.
Well, they wanted to develop more what was going on with Norman, and
yeah,
that he had this lab, and that he screwed over his partner and stuff. Like, there's a lot more important things going on than fucking Professor Strom and his stupid-ass robots.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's good. I thought it was good.
Yeah, it was
great.
Okay to me. It's not great.
Yeah, it's not a great. I have a ranking system where great for me out of these comics is the best I could give them, and it's definitely not great.
Yeah.
But
now we move on to the best fucking comic.
All right. The Amazing Spider-Man number 38, just a guy named Joe. Do you want to introduce this one then?
Yeah, so there's this motherfucker named Joe. He is trying to get into, like, is it boxing? Or
best, like, boxing circuit.
Yeah,
basically.
He's trying to get into, like, the boxing circuit. But he's, like, not strong, and he has no skill in the ring or anything. And so he goes and tries to wrestle all these big guys, and it's like, he's a big guy himself, he's just not good at it. And he just, like, gets made fun of, and he gets a match booked with this I don't know what his agent is called, but he has like an agent who's like an old friend who's kind of stuck around by him, even though he thinks that he sucks.
Well, that's kind of the thing. Everybody thinks he sucks, and Joe even thinks he sucks.
Yeah, and then the manager is finally like, well, Joe, how about we try this new thing? I got you a job as an actor. You just have to pretend to be tough. And maybe you can, like, make some money and do something different.
Mm-hmm. And Joe's like, okay, yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
So,
well, he said, it's so sad. He goes, even a nobody like me can do it, huh? And I was just like, oh.
It is very sad. This comic makes you feel for Joe, and he's a fucking character you never met before.
Who the fuck is Joe?
Hold on. So we then see Joe. He's a monster in a movie. He's got like this big suit. He looks like a.
Yeah, it looks like it's from like an alien movie.
Yeah, he kind of looks like a diver with one of those like helmets.
Yeah.
A little bit, kind of.
A little bit like a Power Ranger.
Yeah, like a Power Ranger villain. Yeah.
Yeah.
But an accident occurs on set where
This is the stupidest part.
Yeah, this is the dumbest part. So, chemicals from the last scene they shot were spilled, and no motherfucker cleaned them.
Yeah.
So, Joe stands in the chemicals, and a light fixture falls from the sky.
It's not from the sky.
From the sky, from the ceiling.
It's like a standing up light.
Yeah. And it crashes down, and it shocks him with the chemicals, which, like, gives him super strength.
Yeah.
Which, it's the dumbest thing, because I was just saying, why does it need... Well, I get it why it needs to be chemicals so he can get super strength, but why can't he just get, like, shocked for how either way, whatever. We then cut to the Daily Bugle, where Ned Leeds shows up. We didn't mention that he also kind of disappears the same time Betty does. So Peter's like, oh, him and Betty ran off to
got married.
Ran off to California and got married or some shit. But Ned shows up and Peter is like, what the fuck? Mm-hmm. So they both ask each other like at the same time, like, where's Betty? And he instantly like blames Pete for it because because of how long he took and stuff.
Well, and he assumes that Peter knows where Betty is. Like he's
but Peter also assumes he knows where that Ned knows where Betty is too.
Yeah, that's true.
They're both being massive pricks. Ned a little bit more than Peter in this part.
Yeah, Peter goes like, oh, it's fine, you can have Betty. I don't give a shit about Betty anymore.
Yeah, so we then cut back to Joe, who is post-accident, and he starts filming a fight scene. But during the fight scene, he starts to go fucking crazy.
Hog wild.
Hog wild. He actually beats the shit out of the actors, and then he takes his anger to the streets and just starts beating the shit out of everybody.
Yeah, because he's just angry. He's just like, nobody ever believed in Joe.
Basically the chemicals like amplify his emotions by like 100%.
Yeah, it's like he's a football player and he got a concussion.
Yeah, so he's just super angry and he starts beating up a lot of people. hold on. So Spider-Man shows up, and the part I really like about this comic is he starts fighting with Joe, and instantly Spider-Man's like, this is not similar to how I fight other people, because one, Joe isn't like talking really.
Mm-hmm.
He's not like giving a big villain monologue. He's not talking about, you know, how the world's done him wrong. He's talking about that with himself in his head, but he's not saying it to Spider-Man. And Spider-Man's like, okay, this guy's not an egomaniac, so something is clearly like actually wrong here.
Yeah.
Hold on. And while they're fighting, Joe snaps out of it. He runs away and escapes because his manager... There's like a confusion. I can't remember what happens. There's confusion, and then he runs away because his manager comes out and saves them.
Mm-hmm.
We then meet Norman again.
Yeah.
He shows back up in this issue, but this time he's disguised himself because now he has fully... He wants Spider-Man fucking gone. He goes to a bunch of, like, thugs, and he's like, I will give you $20,000 $40,000. He gives them 20 up front, and he will give them 20 afterwards.
He cuts the bills in half. Remember?
Yeah, yeah.
And he gives the first half of the bills.
Yeah. But he just wants him dead that badly.
Mm-hmm.
We then go to Peter at college with a really weird scene.
Yeah, this scene is weird.
So, there's like a student protest going on, but the protest, like, it's supposed to be a joke. I wrote down Stan Lee hates protesters because that's really what this scene makes me think. So the joke is that the protesters are protesting the protest meeting.
Yeah, like there's a protest meeting going on.
Like a meeting
later.
about protesting?
Yeah.
So the joke is, oh, they're really protesting about nothing.
And like, oh, they'll protest about anything.
Yeah, well, they say that. They're like, they literally, like, because the protester has asked Peter to join, and Peter says no. And they're like, hey, Peter, just, if you do this for us, we'll join your cause no matter what it is, and the next time you need it. And it's like, okay.
Yeah.
Weird.
And it's just weird because, like, this is the time when, like, American involvement in the Vietnam War, like, ramps up. And so you're like, is this, like, sliding at, like, Vietnam War protesters? I mean, anyway, it doesn't...
That's just speculation. That's not for sure.
Yeah.
We're not,
I was just thinking about the time because it's, like, 1965.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that changes because it's, like... I guess earlier in the war, and like protesters aren't like, it becomes like a really big phenomena a little bit later, but it's just like weird. I don't know, off color, I guess.
It really, really is. Just like, especially with them being like, we'll literally protest whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah.
Whenever you need it.
And like the protesters just look like angry weirdos.
Yeah.
Like in the art.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Very, very odd.
Yeah, sidetrack, but
yeah, we cut back to Joe, who's sleeping in a bed. His manager starts worrying about him. And soon Peter gets attacked after school by a couple of the thugs. That doesn't really matter. He beats them up instantly.
Yeah.
Joe wakes up and he instantly starts fucking like thinking negative things about himself. He's like, he thinks he's a bum. That's what he says about himself. He thinks he's a bum.
Mm-hmm.
And he works himself basically into another fit of rage.
Yeah.
And this time he's going specifically, so at the beginning he was at the training for boxing. And when all of the people at the boxing ring learned that he was going for acting, they all laughed at him because they all think he's pathetic.
Mm-hmm.
So he goes because he wants to beat up all those guys that laughed at him. And Spider-Man arrives. The funny thing, though, is that the part of the boxers there are also some of the criminals that Norman hired.
Yeah.
So Spider-Man not only has to fight Joe, he also has to fight some of these wrestlers, which is really funny. There's a fight.
The police show up.
Yeah, the police show up and settle it down, and Joe comes back to reality when...
Because Spider-Man punched him so hard.
Oh, yeah, he punches him so hard that he, like...
He unconcussions him.
Yeah,
I think we found the cure, boys. If you have a concussion, just have some... wallop you in the head.
Yeah, and the police show up and they're like, Joe, we're fucking arresting you.
Mm-hmm.
But his manager fucking rushes in and he's like, Joe, listen, the production promises that they're not gonna press any charges against you.
And they say you made the best scene in the movie.
Yeah. Because they filmed his fight scene earlier.
Mm-hmm.
So he doesn't have any charges pressed against him, and now he has the prospect of a full-time acting gig, which makes him cry.
Which made me, like, literally, I almost cried when I saw the panel where he's crying, because he says, I'm gonna be somebody at last, me, Joe Smith, an actor.
Yeah.
It's so, like, cheesy, but I love it.
And what's even more cheesy is the boxers who all shit on him earlier, they come up to him and they're like, "Oh, good for you, Joe."
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And then there's some cheeky bastard who's like, "Oh, why don't you get us a movie gig too?"
Yeah. Yeah, but there's the way this comic ends kind of puts a weird taste in my mouth, though.
I know. I wish it just ended with Joe.
Yeah, because then Peter goes home and he like shits on Joe.
He shits on Joe.
Remember, he's like, oh, he beat all those people up and now he's gonna be a big-time actor. Doesn't he? Look, next panel.
Next panel?
When he's talking to Aunt May and he sees it on the TV.
Oh.
Does he not?
Oh, he says that takes the cake. Not only will he become a big star now, but I'll seem worse than ever. And it's because the TV says that Joe fought Spider-Man to a standstill. So, like, kind of suggesting that Spider-Man is weak because he got beat by some regular-ass dude. And
okay.
Peter gets, like, really upset by it for some reason and fucking goes upstairs to go to bed.
Yeah. That ending isn't that great.
Yeah.
But everything else is really, really good.
Yeah.
I'd say this one was great. I really loved it.
Well, you forgot to mention, too, he just beats up those motherfuckers who were gonna, like, arrest him.
What do you mean?
Or not arrest him, like, kill him for the money that Norman was gonna give him.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he does that the whole time.
It's just whatever.
Yeah.
And then he beats up a dummy that looks like Ned Leeds.
Oh, yeah. That's a little important.
Yeah.
He, like, gets so mad that he beats up someone or a mannequin that he thinks that looks like Ned Leeds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Peter's a big fat bitch at the end of the day.
Yeah. All right. Any closing thoughts on that?
Yeah, like, the only bad part about it is that kind of sour ending where Peter's being a big fat bitch.
Well, and that's what, I don't want that ending to be sour. That's the weird thing, is because they give you, like, that hopeful, Joe's doing all good.
I know, it's so nice, and I was like, man, I really hope I, like, see Joe on the TV in background panels and stuff.
Yeah, I don't feel like we'll see him ever again. No,
I just thought it was really cute. I really like this one because it's like, I don't know, it's not really your villain of the week in a certain sense.
Oh, no, it's definitely not.
Yeah.
He's barely even a villain.
He's not a villain. He's just, like, some guy who, like...
He's a misunderstood
something unfortunate happens to him. And it's, like, it's kind of a nice twist on things because this happens all the time where it's, like, someone who gets misunderstood and then they become a horrible villain. But it's, like, with Joe, he just gets to go back to being a normal guy, which is nice.
Yeah.
He actually gets a sweet ending.
Yeah. Very, very good. All right, you ready to move on to our last? This is like the mega two-parter.
Yeah.
The two-parter out of the four-parter.
Yeah.
All right, The Amazing Spider-Man number 39, Spidey and the Green Goblin, both unmasked.
What?
You're funny. So we meet the Green Goblin. His plan is to attack and unmask Spider-Man.
Yep.
If you couldn't tell from the title.
Yep.
Pete goes to the doctor because he's sick, and the doctor, that doesn't really matter, but the doctor is the same doctor who takes care of May, and he basically is like, hey, we're really not out of the woods with your fucking aunt. she cannot take a shock, like, at all. Or she's just gonna probably have a heart attack and fucking die.
Yeah.
So, you know, it gives us that prospect that, oh shit, Peter's gotta really try to hone it in here that he can't be fucking around and getting caught almost as Spider-Man or be out late and shit. He's gotta be good. Obviously, Peter goes to school. He's very, very sad about the news he hears about Aunt May because he just wants her to get better.
Yeah.
And we quickly cut.
Bullshit happens.
Yeah, we quickly cut to Norman and Harry, and Norman's just a huge dick to Harry.
Yeah.
I don't have any quotes this time, but it's probably just some shut up shit.
Oh yeah, Harry says, "Is there anything wrong, Dad? You hardly said a word all the way from the house to here." And Norman says, "There's nothing wrong. Did you want me to give you a lift or deliver a speech on the way?"
Yeah.
And so Harry at school is like really depressed that day.
Well, they're both very depressed.
Yeah.
Which leads them to having a little heart-to-heart together because Harry's like, is he mean at first? I can't remember. Or he can't even convince himself to be mean? Or he's really mean and then apologizes, I think.
No, he's just really quiet. And then Harry notices, or not Harry, Peter notices he's really quiet and upset. And he goes, "What's the matter, Harry? Anything wrong? Aren't you feeling well?" And he says, "I'm okay, Peter." And then he says, "And since when is it any of your business whether or not I..." And then he goes, "Oh, forget it. I didn't mean to snap at you."
Yeah.
So they just have a little heart-to-heart
where they talk about how Peter's an orphan and Harry's sad because his mom's dead and that his dad doesn't really care.
Yeah, and Harry goes, I never knew that Peter was an orphan.
Yeah, and do you think they're gonna have their friendship like they do?
I think they're setting up a friendship, yeah.
Really? It's just because Harry's such a massive... He's, like, even more of a dick than Flash.
Yeah, but I think they're setting up that, like, they're realizing that they have things in common, that there's things going on in everyone's life.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in this instance, Harry realizes, or he starts to think, like, oh, maybe Peter hasn't been, like, trying to be a dick. He just has a lot going on. Like, his fucking parents are dead, and he has problems just like I do. He's not just an asshole. And I think they both realize that about each other.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so after school, Spider-Man goes out and he finds a random robbery. Well, you think it's random. But during the fight, the robbers throw this weird gas at him. He doesn't know what it is, but then we zoom out far from where the fight's actually happening. We see the Green Goblin, and he tells us that this gas has taken away Peter's spider sense without him realizing it.
Yeah.
So the fight is over.
Peter wins.
Yeah, Peter wins and beats up all the robbers, obviously. Because even without the spider sense, he's still really strong and able to take care of regular dudes.
Yeah.
So he leaves to go change back into Peter Parker, but the Green Goblin fucking watches him change into Peter Parker.
Mm-hmm. Because he's been following him.
Yeah, he follows him without his spider sense, and Peter just doesn't realize it.
Yeah.
So the Green Goblin now knows not who Peter Parker is, but who Spider-Man is.
Yeah, but he figures it out the next instant because he goes to the Daily Bugle.
Yes.
And he hears Ned call him Peter Parker.
Yeah, well, because he goes to the Daily Bugle and Ned apologizes to him for snapping at him the other day.
Yeah, and the Green Goblin is listening in through the building to this stuff, like under a window.
Yeah. So Pete then goes home, and the Green Goblin fucking approaches him at home and just is like, "Peter Parker, I fucking know your secret."
Yeah.
And Peter Parker's like, "What the fuck?"
Mm-hmm.
They fight. It's a really cool fight because it's outside of Aunt May's house, so the idea is that Peter can't be seen, which the Green Goblin really helps with because he, like, uses a bunch
like a smoke bomb.
No. He smokes him out with his glider.
Yeah.
And leaves, like, a huge, like, fucking dust cloud so no one can really see what's going on.
Yeah, and of course he really doesn't want Aunt May to see this because he doesn't want her to have a heart attack.
Yeah,
But he fucking loses.
Yeah, he loses and gets stunned, and the Green Goblin kidnaps him, fucking takes him away on his glider, and ties him up in his hideout, only to reveal himself as we all know, Norman Osborn. And I wrote that
Adrian Toomes.
And I wrote that he does this to fuck with him.
Yeah.
That's the only reason he's doing this.
He's a fucker.
Yeah, it's like really evil.
Yeah.
But it's like it's just so good. I want to talk about kind of more, but it's more in the next issue because it's obviously a direct continuation of what's going on here. But that one's just really, really good. I said it's great.
You know who the reveal is going to be, but it's so interesting because I think my opinion after reading this is that Stan was thinking of this plot line like for a long time, and I think he is planning ahead and planning ahead and planning ahead, because the first time we saw the Green Goblin, they played up his secret identity, which was like in number like
13
or something. We're at 39, and in 13 we didn't know who Harry was. We had no context.
We didn't even know who Norman was.
No, we had no context.
It was just the Green Goblin.
Yeah, for who Norman would be. People in the letters, like, to the magazine, or the comic, were speculating, like, oh, well, it's Flash. Oh, well, no, it's actually JJJ. Because you're trying to think, like, it must be characters that
we already know.
That we know. But, no, they wait fucking, like, 20 issues.
It's 14 is the first Green Goblin one.
Yeah, they wait like 20 issues until they're like, okay, yeah, now you know who this is.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of this is planned out. I think everything... I think a lot of things they already knew. They like to play coy in the letters. They like to be like, we don't even know what's going to happen with Spidey next week. Or being like, oh, we don't make this stuff up. This actually happened in real life. And it's just like, no, I think Stan is was super invested in Spider-Man. And he had all this shit planned out. I have not seen such story investment in any of the other comics I've been reading so far.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I think this is like his pet project at the time.
Probably. Well, yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He fucking loves Spider-Man.
Well, we all do.
Yeah.
So, that's all you got to say about that?
Yeah.
All right, I guess.
It's really good.
Yeah, let's move on to The Amazing Spider-Man number 40. Spidey saves the day. So we instantly cut right back to Norman revealing himself to Peter. And Peter he goes, holy shit, you're Harry Osborn's dad.
Yeah.
And that sends fucking Norman into like hysterics. He's like, don't fucking mention his goddamn name in front of me.
Don't talk about my son.
Well, no, it's not don't talk about my son. It's more like his brain, we realize later, but it's like his brain won't let him acknowledge his own son.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we basically learned that Norman's fucking crazy, no shit.
Yeah.
And he just keeps talking to Peter about random bullshit. Like,
it's so sad though. It makes you feel so bad because he talks about how like he was a single dad and how he was trying to like make money for he and Harry because he wanted to make sure he lived a good life. And so he's like, he keeps saying, I was a good dad, and you see these images of like him ignoring Harry all the time. And
this is before he was the Green Goblin.
Yeah, this is before.
There's an instance where it's like his birthday or something, and instead of going and hanging out, he just buys him a bike.
Yeah.
And
he's
says,
like,
go play
on your bike.
Yeah.
Because he's like, I need to keep making money for my son to have a good life.
Yeah.
And it's just...
And in turn, completely ignores his son for his entire life.
Yeah, it's so sad because, like, he is not even realizing that he's, like, being a bad father.
Yeah.
Because Harry just, like, they go to a ball game together, and Harry's just like, I just want to talk to you, Dad. And Norman is just like, no, oh, yeah, we can later. Just shut up and watch the game.
No. They go to the ball game, and they don't talk the entire time.
I know.
Yeah.
It's fucked up.
But the reason that Peter keeps, just to preface, keeps trying to get the Green Goblin to keep talking about things because he's trying to break himself out of his restraints. His restraints are like fucking metal barbed wire, fucking like wrapped around.
It's not barbed wire. That would be fucked up.
Yeah.
But
big metal.
It's like steel. Yeah.
Steel bars wrapped around his fucking arms. Yeah. So we learned that. Norman became the Goblin because he found after Professor Strom was kicked out, he found a formula for some, I can't remember what. But
he just says it's like, these formulas might do something and I'm going to sell them.
Yeah,
like, he basically just says that.
He makes the formula, and it's fucked up because it's another instance where Harry comes in and he's like, Dad, we're supposed to go to the parents-teacher conference, and he's like, fuck off, I gotta do this.
Mm-hmm.
And basically he becomes the Green Goblin because it explodes. It fucks, the chemicals fuck up and it explodes all over him.
And he says a fucked up line.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
So, he blows up and goes to the hospital, but he says to Peter, and this is a quote, he says, "It's a good thing I didn't go," reference in meaning I didn't go to the parents-teacher conference. "It's a good thing I didn't go, because if I hadn't, I might never have become the Green Goblin." Which is...
Yeah! Oh my god!
He's basically saying I'd rather be a homicidal maniac than spend any fucking time with my son, so... It's just crazy.
Well, and it just seems like he's just, like, intoxicated with power.
Well, it's interesting because I don't know. In the Sam Raimi movies, right? You could be like, oh, Norman was a good dad.
He's, like, misguided.
No. He's a pretty good dad.
Yeah.
Until he becomes the Green Goblin.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not the best dad, obviously, but
because he favors Peter over Harry.
Yeah, but in this, like, before he even becomes he's a fucking dick and a half.
Mm-hmm.
And it starts as good intentions, but like we said, like, they go to this baseball game and they don't even talk, like, at all.
I love the funny line, though, when he makes the Green Goblin suit and he says, "I'll make it my favorite color, green." It's like, okay, motherfucker.
Yeah. Hold on.
Finding your place.
Yeah. So, we then cut to Aunt May, who's fucit's at home. It's late at night. She's doing exactly what she shouldn't be doing and freaking out, because Peter hasn't come home. It's I don't know, late at night, probably like 12 at night or something. She calls Miss Watson, if you remember Miss Watson, the aunt of Mary Jane Watson, a character we haven't met yet, over, and she's just like, I don't know what to do. So Miss Watson comes over, and she's like, "May, you can't be doing this. You're gonna have a fucking heart attack." Mm-hmm. And so it gets to the point where Miss Watson has to call the doctor. And we cut from that to, you want to talk about?
Yeah, Betty. Yeah. She's just like, I'm gonna come back.
Yeah, she's like in some other state.
Or somewhere else. We don't really know, but she's just like, oh, maybe JJJ will let me get my job back. I guess I'll go back and I'll figure out everything.
Yeah, she realizes she can't just run away from her problems. She has to go back and talk to everybody.
Yeah, talk to Peter and Ned and everything.
But it's even more... this fucking relationship between her and Peter are never going to work because she doesn't say it outright, but she basically says, I hate Spider-Man.
Yeah.
She's like, I could never be with anyone that's like Spider-Man ever.
Yeah. We also forgot to mention the funny joke that's been going on through these comics where now that Betty's gone, JJJ cannot hold down a secretary because he treats all his employees like such shit that, like, only Betty could bear it. And so they keep getting hired on, and then they leave, like, the next day. And so JJJ has been pissed this whole time.
Yeah, he's really pissed at Peter.
Yeah, being like, you made her leave!
Yeah.
So now she's finally coming back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So obviously Peter keeps trying to goad the Green Goblin into talking about more shit.
Yeah, just being like, oh, well, I defeated you every time, Green Goblin.
And I'm gonna beat you this time. And then the Green Goblin pulls out this memory machine.
Like a projector.
Yeah, well, no, it's not a projector. It goes onto his head, and it, projects onto the wall.
Yeah.
And he shows, and it's true, though, that Spider-Man has only beaten him every single time because of luck.
Yeah.
And it's very, very true.
Mm-hmm.
The first time being, they don't even mention it, but I would have said the Hulk showing up is very lucky for Spider-Man in winning that. They don't mention that. They say some other reason that he got lucky in that. And then, the second time was the Human Torch showed up.
Yeah.
And then the third time with Crime Master? Was that his name?
Yes. He says it's because there was the whole situation going on with Crime Master.
Yeah.
That it was, too complicated or whatever.
Yeah.
But this gives... Actually, this is so funny. So it gives Peter enough time to get out of the restraints. He's about to bust out.
He has one hand out of the restraints, and he's about to bust out, yeah.
Yeah, and then Green Goblin goes... Actually, you know what? It's not fair if I kill you while you're tied down. I'm gonna let you have one last fight with me where we fight one-on-one. And Peter goes, you motherfucker, you knew I was about to burst out of the bonds or whatever. So you are just, playing coy and being like, oh, I'll fight you now.
Yeah. They obviously fight.
Yeah.
Obviously we don't talk about the fights, but... They do a really good job. They showcase basically every single Goblin weapon that he has in this fight. It's really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is one of the best fights that they've had. His flying broomstick, which is his glider, they call it a broomstick in this, it blows up at one point. He has a Goblin cannon that he tries to use but doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
He tries to shock Spider-Man with a live wire that he finds at one point.
Yeah.
But basically, Spider-Man beats him back, and he gets shocked himself by this live wire. So hard that he fucking gets gets knocked out.
Yeah.
And Spider-Man's like, holy shit, did I just fucking kill him? He checks his pulse, obviously he's still alive. But what happens?
He wakes up and he doesn't know where he is. He doesn't know what's going on, and he's just going where's Harry?
Well, and that's what's weird to me, though. He didn't care about Harry even before he was the Goblin.
But he did care, just in not a good way. You know what I mean?
So do you think this shock is gonna make him, change to care for a good way?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
then Spider-Man makes a very interesting decision. He changes. So the police are starting to show up because the building's on fire.
And
or not the police, the firefighters are showing up because the building's on fire. And Peter's like, I can't do this to Harry. I can't have his dad go to fucking jail. He doesn't even have a mom. So he changes him into one of his suits, his regular dress suits.
Mm-hmm.
And then throws the Green Goblin costume into the fire, burning it to cinder.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's just no one knows who the Green Goblin was or anything.
Yep. And Norman goes home.
Yeah, Norman goes to the hospital.
Yeah, Norman's in the hospital.
And he's talking nice with Harry, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
And Peter goes home. But to find the doctor there, he has sedated May because she was just too heavily freaking out. And he chastises Peter, being like, I expected you to be better than this. Mm-hmm. Which, fuck you, you don't know what that fucking kid just did. Fuck you. But yeah, it just makes Peter feel so bad that yet again he just goes upstairs and he's like, why did I have to become Spider-Man? My fucking aunt is dying because of me. Mm-hmm. And that's how it ends.
Yep. That's some good shit.
Yeah, thoughts on Spider-Man number 40?
Oh, The best one.
Out of all of them that we've read?
Yeah.
In the slew, at least, or the best one in general?
Yeah, it's such like a peak. It's just like...
You think it's the best one in general?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah. It's just like, it's the culmination...
Of so many things.
Of so many things.
Yeah.
And it's just like, within one issue beforehand, they made you start to give a shit about Harry. So, like, now you're like, oh, now I'm interested in the fate of Harry. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Spider-Man is like, even though he's like a dick and he is aloof sometimes, you realize at the end of the day that, like, he is trying to do the right thing, and that's why he takes Norman back to Harry.
Yeah.
And it's just so good because it's like...
Well, I think he also realizes, like, oh, if I do this to Harry, I'm doing exactly to him what I'm dealing with right now and not having any parents.
Yeah.
You know, that's where that conversation with them having the heart-to-heart kind of
and he's like...
comes from.
Norman is so fucking deranged as the Green Goblin.
He's crazy as fuck.
Yeah.
I
just thought it was amazing. Pun intended.
Amazing stuff, yeah.
Yeah. No.
I would say, yeah, I don't know if I'd say it's the greatest one. I don't know. Like, I don't know. I'd have to think on that.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's quite a few really, really good ones that I like a lot. Like, obviously the one with Mysterio as the Doctor from last time and stuff.
But no, this was a really good slew of comics. There were a couple stinkers, but... Overall, I liked like 7 or 8 out of the 10.
Yeah, what? Hold on. So
just good shit.
Yeah, we liked 1, 2, 3, 4. The robot one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hold on, I'm just gonna get through my other notes here. Other view things in the process. Ooh.
In the works.
We didn't like that one. 5. 6, 7, 8. We liked 8.
Yeah.
8 out of the 10. That's a fucking 80%. That's pretty good.
Yeah. Spider-Man got a B on this one.
No, and that's gonna be it. We'll be back. We will be back this Sunday.
Ooh, yep.
Yeah. We are going to make sure that we are caught up hopefully, as long as I don't continue to stay sick or get sicker or Kasha doesn't get sick or fucking something happens, it should be Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
And it should be every Sunday at 1 p.m. Yeah. Thank you all so much for joining, and I will see you guys later.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.